Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Inside Automotive right here at the CBT Automotive Network.
CBT News, your number one resource for auto industry news and content. You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us here at Inside Automotive, the CBT Automotive Network. We're so happy to have with us an old friend, Mr. Brian Benstock, who's partner, GM, and VP of Paragon Honda and also Paragon Acura. He's also a keynote speaker, a podcaster. You've seen him all over retail automotive. You've seen him all over automotive. He does such great work. He's a great spokesperson and representative of our great industry. So Brian, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Jim, it's great to be here and really good to see you again.
Yeah, and I think I left the dealership off there, right? I mean, you're now, is it White Plains Honda?
It is, White Plains Honda.
Yeah.
I'm a dealer principal.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations. Nobody is more deserving than you on that. So you do such great work for Honda and Acura. So thanks for joining me on the show. Obviously, we talked a little bit before we got recording today about this situation with Honda and Sony and, of course, Scout and Afila and all of these companies now that are wanting to actually take your position as a franchise new car dealer. Some of them, you know, that are legacy, well, I guess in the case of Honda and Scout, really from legacy automotive groups out there. And I know that this is something that's near and dear to your heart. So I'm going to let you pick it up right there. What say you about all this going on?
You know, I think it's initially when we were talking offline, you said, you know, as a Honda Acura dealer, I should be concerned. And I think I corrected you saying as an automobile dealer, I'm concerned. And it's because it affects all of us, whether it happens at Volkswagen or Honda, the implications can be far-reaching. You know, the old saying, believe some of what you hear, but all of what you see. And, you know, we see an asset like Mr. Scott Kehoe, who did a phenomenal job at Audi. You know, he had month after month of sales. He kept his foot on the gas, you know, the skinny pedal. He was a dynamic in turning that company around. I remember the days, and I remember seeing him speak at Automotive News, at the auto show in New York City, and he got up there and said, "This is our 48th month in a row of increased sales." And, you know, I said, "Man, what a great guy." And he's a New Yorker too, so I have a prejudice.
How bad could he be, right?
Yeah, how bad could he be? And, you know, he's a dealer guy.
Yeah.
And then they put him in charge of Volkswagen, and you started to see some momentum. In fact, I told a dear friend of mine who was a Volkswagen dealer, stay the course, this guy is great.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, they're moving him to Scout. Yeah. I have no inside knowledge of what Mr. Kehoe is up to, but, you know, when you take an asset like that, an MVP, and you move him there, that says something.
Yeah.
That says a certain commitment that's being made by the parent company to this initiative. And I got concerned. And then lo and behold, American Honda is in a joint venture with Sony. And I'm saying, what is the direction here?
Right.
And my concern is Volkswagen has to know that they're going to have pushback from the dealers.
Right.
And I guess they've calculated that into the formula. And I'm just wondering, on the Honda side, the same thing, you know, how and what are your thoughts with the dealer? Your name is on that product. The Honda name's on that product.
Yeah.
And why on earth would you go outside of your dealer network? You know, I'm not disputing their right to do that, but I'm just the wisdom of doing that raises an eyebrow.
Right. What are your Honda reps and and I know you're very close to the leadership, being the number one Honda dealer out there. You're very close to the leadership of Honda. What do they say? I mean, when they see you, they must be like, "Oh, Brian's not going to want to see us right now." But what are they telling you?
You know, they say that I'll use my words, not theirs, but that Honda's playing with the cards very close to their chest. They're telling us that they don't have a lot of information, and I believe them. They're also saying it's going to be $100,000 plus vehicle to try and make me feel better. I'll take it. They're telling us it's going to be such small volume, and I'm saying, well, if it's small volume, why would you cause such an uproar over something like that?
Right.
Why would you cause
Good point.
uncertainty Why would you cause uncertainty? And why would you go outside of this incredible dealer network that Honda and Acura have? I
Yeah,
think Acura would love the product. I think Honda dealers could do well with the product. And then how do you plan to service that? Jim, if you remember, Elon Musk, he told you what he was going to do, then he did it, and now he's telling us what he did, right? He said,
that's right.
I'm going to make a luxury electric vehicle
Yeah,
for a select group,
yeah,
and then we're going to enter into the high end from luxury to near luxury cars,
right.
and then we're going to make vehicles for the masses.
That's
And
right.
that's exactly what's happened.
Right.
So it's possible that a venture with Scout would be vehicles initially that aren't available at the Volkswagen side, and then a transition into something more traditional, causing direct competition with the parent company.
100%.
Is it possible that a high-end version ends up being then a mid-level vehicle and then an entry-level vehicle?
That's
Is
right.
it possible? And the answer is, of course, it's possible.
Yeah.
In the absence of specifics, it raises concern.
Yeah. Well, you're an Acura and Honda dealer, so you know what it's like to sell a Highline Honda product. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not new to you. It's not like, gee whiz, scratch our head. How do you sell a Highline product? You're currently doing that with Honda. So the notion that, this is a Highline specialty type product, it's not Honda. Yeah, it's not Honda, but nor is Acura.
Yeah, and I think the collaboration with a company as well established as a Sony could be interesting. It could be good for us, and a lot of that technology can trickle down into everything
Sure.
that we produce. But I just don't want to feel. I don't want to feel like we're competing. And again, after all, the Honda name is there, and I'd certainly like to see the dealers have a little better information.
Yes, yeah. A friend of mine, who's no longer a friend of mine because he ordered an Afeela. No, but a friend of mine in California spent $200. That's all it takes to put a reservation on their website to reserve one. He's got it. There's some stipulations right now anyway. You've got to be a resident of California. You've got to register the vehicle there, and you got to obviously pay the taxes and what have you. But that's just California today, right? I mean, that's going to spread throughout the country in due time, right?
We're already seeing some lawsuits against Volkswagen in some of the states where they've started taking deposits. I guess to have a lawsuit, you've got to have standing. To have standing, you've got to have a potential impact or harm. And I think that's starting. So, why would a manufacturer go down that road? I've got dear friends who are Volkswagen dealers who are scratching their head, saying, "Hey, we've got room here. Hey, where's the new product for us?"
Yeah, yeah.
And the Scout looks pretty good,
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah.
And the Afeela looks pretty good. So, I think there's some legitimate questions that need to be asked. And then you've got a political aspect of this. Once one manufacturer can start selling direct to consumers, maybe many others will follow. Jim, on a speculative direction, what if somebody not happy with President Trump's relaxation of the EV mandates decides, hey, in my state, we're going to move forward with clean air initiatives, and we're going to allow direct to consumer for any electric vehicle sold.
That's right.
What if that happens, right? So maybe somebody who's in a blue state, and the leader of that blue state says, hey, this is a way I can sort of put my thumb in the eye of the current initiative and administration, and maybe they decide to do that.
Yeah.
Again, it would probably be met with incredible legal opposition. But what's the plan? And maybe the manufacturers would be looking at it like, "Oh, we don't want that to happen. Go, go, go." The manufacturers have tried selling direct to consumers. They failed miserably. They would probably fail miserably again. I think the retail automotive franchise dealer is one of the most efficient distribution methodologies in the country and in the world. We've seen what's happened in Europe. Those manufacturers that were going direct to consumers fell on their face. And so let's not double down on a bad direction. Let's really lean into and improve the current franchise system.
But do you think there's enough executives in the OEM ivory tower that points to Tesla and says, wait a minute, Brian, not so fast. Tesla has been highly successful selling directly to consumers and leads the way in EV sales, around the globe, and we're chasing that business model.
Dare I say they're chasing a ghost because that's not going to happen again. Tesla got way out there with those carbon credits and billions of dollars. I heard dollars to subsidize millionaires buying cars. What an interesting time we live in, where the hardworking taxpayers are subsidizing expensive cars. I
That's right.
remember years ago, the Porsche, because it weighed a certain amount, you were able to write off the whole car,
That's
and it was a
right.
$100,000 Porsche. And yeah, I wonder if the average worker knows that that's what they're subsidizing.
It's a good point.
Um,
Very good
I,
point.
I've got a pretty good iPhone, right? Nobody needed to subsidize that technology for me to pay for it, and it was several times more expensive than what it replaced. It was just better. So let's let the technology develop. As it develops and becomes more desirable, the consumer demand will be there. I don't think you can force consumer demand. I don't think that's a good way to approach these things. So, who knows? I was in Kazakhstan not too long ago, and when I was there, it was interesting to see the number of Chinese electric vehicles that were all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between that market and this market. The those vehicles had acceptance because of this low price point. The low price point was simply available because they don't pay their workers. They don't have the medical benefits that we have in those countries. So, I think America can compete favorably with anybody, provided we're on a level playing field. And certainly some of those countries that are manufacturing some of those vehicles are not on a level playing field.
Right.
I'm not suggesting we take away any of the benefits that our hardworking workers have right now. I'm suggesting if they want to sell their cars here, then they've got to put it on. They be on a level playing field. Start paying their workers more money. Start giving them better work schedules. And when they do that, their costs will be roughly the same as ours, and we can knock the stuffing out of them because we can compete with anybody.
That's right. That's right. When do you think we're going to start hearing the rumbling of a class action suit against some of these OEMs? From dealers that say, "Hey, enough is enough. Let's all band together here and go after either Honda or Volkswagen and Audi to say we're not going to stand for this."
Yeah, I think diplomacy is always the best approach, and working with the manufacturer and working within the confines of the franchise system. I think I certainly don't believe in going the legal way. I think we have to though share our concerns very vocally with the manufacturers, that we're not just going to sit on our hands and watch our investments go down the tubes. Many dealers have tens of millions, hundreds of millions, in some case, dollars invested in this, only to see the manufacturers once again try and circumvent the dealers. They've been doing this for decades,
Right.
and it's not worked.
Right.
And I think they're losing their shirt over in Europe with the direction they went in there, and now trying to correct that, and it's certainly impacting things here.
Sure, this is certainly speculative, but why do you think? I mean, you've been around the industry for so long and really lead the way. You're such a thought leader in the industry. Why do you think an OEM makes a decision like this versus saying, "Look, let's build the car, let's sell it to our 300-400 dealers immediately. Every dealer will take on 100 units. We'll immediately be successful. We'll have an incredible service arm out there to take care of these cars." Where does the decision come from at the OEM level to go, "Hey, here's what we're going to do"? I mean, that's got to rock that conference room and have them go, "Whoa, wait a minute. Why are we taking on this nightmare that we're going to get in this ocean of legal situation with the dealers? Why do they pursue this?"
I was told during the COVID times, when you looked at the profitability of the dealers and you added up the
Mm.
total dealer profitability, it was substantially higher than that of the manufacturers. And I could see a couple of manufacturers say, "Hey, this isn't fair. We designed the cars. We had the it's not fair." And that's not been the case historically. I think that the manufacturers have done a magnificent job creating efficiency in the manufacturing process, right? I think one of the last areas that they have as an opportunity is in the distribution.
Yeah.
And they're trying as best as they can to eliminate the cost or the expense associated with distribution. And I'm all for that. I'd love to have just-in-time delivery of our cars. But if you take a look now, Teslas are backing up. If you take a look in China, EVs are backing up all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think our franchise system is still the best way to go. I mean, when Honda ships me 100 cars, the pressure's on me to move those. It's on. And we've got 7%, 6% floor plan rates right now, and we're looking at that expense. And we don't make a dollar till we sell a car. So we get up
Right.
every morning, one thing on our mind: how do we sell that car today? How do we put that customer, the right car for the right customer at the right time? And I think there's a certain efficiency there. What's going to happen with the manufacturer if they were sitting with those cars? What are they going to do? And how are they going to move the cars? Again, these are things we've seen before. Ford tried it upstate New York. They
Yep.
bought 5 dealerships. They
Yep.
failed miserably, and they sold the stores back to the dealers.
Yeah.
Tesla is an interesting case study. The circumstances that evolved that allowed Tesla to do what they did, I don't think can be easily replicated.
Yeah, yeah. If you had, and we happen to know firsthand that OEM executives do listen to our show because they'll comment or send me an email every now and then. But if you had a direct message to them, what would that be right now?
Proceed with caution. Be careful what you wish for. The initial phase of going against the dealers could really hurt the dealers, and then it's going to be difficult to repair the relationship. I'd love to see collaboration between partners. I consider, and we do have an incredible partnership with American Honda
Yeah.
and the Acura team. It's a partnership. Whenever we think of what we're doing, how would our partner feel about that? And the
Right.
communication is key. So I would say communicate with the dealers. Why cause concern amongst the dealers, especially as things are, what's the term they're using now? Normalizing. It's been a little bumpy out there.
That's
And
right.
someone just this morning said to me, it's like 2019. And I said, well, you're wrong. 2019, the interest rates were 2%.
That's right.
And the carrying
That's
costs
right.
on cars, and inventory, and everything else is changed. So
Good point.
I think there's a couple of things to be concerned about. So the communication, Jim, would be what I would look for
Yeah.
from an OEM, especially our OEM. What's the plan? Tell us what the plan is. Tell us how you're going to not be a direct competitor of ours. And
Sure.
if you're going to be a direct competitor of ours, let us know.
Sure, sure. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you what you think so far of President Trump's job and the direction that he's headed. I know that you're a vocal advocate of him. We saw you on Fox News, and you were kind of a cheerleader.
I am a vocal advocate for anything that's good for America.
Sure.
And I think given the choices, I think America spoke. The pendulum always seems to swing too far one way and too far the other way.
Yeah.
I think it may have swung too far one way, and I think he's bringing it back in a different direction. I think as a business person, I think he's much better at being pro-business than many other people. And again, businesses are not brick and mortar. Businesses are people.
Yeah.
They're you and I, taxpayers. I thought Ross Perot said many years ago when he ran for president, he said, the government has one job, and that's to create taxpayers. And that always stuck with me. The more taxpayers they create, the less taxes. I like the team that he's put around him. He's got diversity, and he's got intelligence. I like the fact that there are Washington outsiders looking at things, and you see some of the expenses, some of the things Washington's spending their money on, our money on.
Yeah. Final question, and I'll just throw the word at you and tell me what comes to mind. But tariffs, what's your concern there, if you have one?
An effective tool,
Okay.
Especially when it comes to some Asian manufacturers that got out ahead of us on this. They've got a pretty good monopoly on those rare earth materials. And I think tariffs, I'm going to quote Steve Greenfield, would be a good thing to be able to pump the brakes and give America a chance to catch up, right? To catch up in that technology. I heard China is creating 300 additional whole manufacturing plants. So if we're talking about clean energy, that's not the place. And
That's right.
Let's take a good look at the efficiency of our ICE engines and our hybrid technology. It's pretty spectacular right now. And from what I understand, has a smaller carbon footprint than many of their battery electric alternatives. So if it is truly the environment that we're concerned about. Let's make sure that we look before we leap.
That's right. That's right. I don't know about others that are watching, but I say Benstock for Senate. I mean that we
No,
need another
thank you.
Bernie Moreno in there to partner.
I did not know I don't know Mr. Marino, but I listened to him, and I love
Yeah. Isn't he great?
an automotive voice
That's right.
there. That he seems really bright,
Yeah.
right on point. And I think, again, I like the crew that Trump has put around him to make better decisions. I think with better decisions, you'll get better outcomes.
That's right.
And that's
Brian Benstock, thank you so much for joining us here at CBT News. I appreciate all the time you've given us. I know you're an extremely busy young man out there between working out and also
not
running
so
3
young.
dealerships.
Not so young.
But
Yeah.
but I appreciate it very much, and hopefully we can have you back soon.
And Jim, thanks for what you do. Thank you for what you do, giving dealers a voice. It's so incredible to be able to listen to the many fine guests that you have on the show, to get the diversity of opinion that you get, and it's really become an educational platform. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you for those kind words. We love doing it. So thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.